What's a job that sounds prestigious but actually sucks? I don't have personal experience with this, but from what I've heard, being a model kind of sucks. Even being a supermodel. First off, unless you are a top-tier supermodel, you are not really going to get paid that much. There isn't a lot of job security either, unless you have a long-term contract. Your job will require you to constantly have your face and body verbally picked apart and criticized to degrees that would give even the most self-confident person body dysmorphia. Hips 1 centimeter wider than the ideal? You're too fat. Have slight shoulder asymmetry? You're a hideous freak. There's that strange thing that happens to extremely conventionally attractive people where since your looks are constantly being examined, and you're having to constantly look at and evaluate yourself in relation to others in your profession, you'll feel ugly because there will always be someone slightly prettier than you. I think models would probably have to deal with sexual harassment and bullying from within the industry and unsafe workplace conditions. Hopefully, this has improved in recent years, but I'm sure it's still not perfect. Then there are people's perceptions about you. There is still, unfortunately, often stereotyping about models being stupid. If someone wanted to date you, you would have to be wary of whether they really liked you as a person or they just saw you as arm candy. Not to mention the job itself sounds incredibly boring to me. Getting photographed for hours, or just having to sit still while you have your makeup done may sound glamorous at first, but I'm pretty sure it would lose its appeal quickly. And I haven't even gone into the high rates of disordered eating amongst models, which could lead to some real long-term physical and mental health problems. Overall, it's a job that sounds cool but probably wouldn't be as fun to actually do. I am certain there are people who love the work, but I think for a lot of people they would find it wasn't as great a career path as they'd hoped. Military aviator. Romanticized, but the reality is long and odd hours. Being sent to places in the world you don't want to be. Military aircraft are cramped and uncomfortable and often older than you are. You spend more hours studying and training than flying. If you are married with family, you will spend half your life separated from them. Chef. Brutal conditions and shit pay. Not valued like so many other jobs which are just as essential. Working 100% of the time that common socializing hours are as rough too. Impossible to see any concerts, sporting events, go out with your friends for a night out. Nope. You are everyone else's night out. I do not miss restaurant life. Dispatcher. People think you're the boss, but you're really only a communications conduit. The truckers despise you, management thinks you are worthless, and perfection is expected. I just looked now, the starting salaries today are the same as they were 20 years ago. So not much money either. Working for a pro sports team. Unless you're in a position where fans know your name, GM, team coach, etc., it's a ton of hours and work for not great pay. Lots of people burn out quick once they realize it's not worth it, and the lifers usually have a major sacrifice to their lifestyles and family. You can also be fired without any warning or because of your performance because ownership changes or decides their wife's cousin should have your job and not you. Public school principal or dean of discipline. If you do a great job, you still might be viewed as the bad guy and can be fired on any given day for a myriad of reasons. Imagine being unbelievably powerful and still being vulnerable to dismissal if you make a mistake, big or small. You need a great relationship with the students, teachers, parents, colleagues, superiors, miscellaneous staff, and the community. That alone isn't much to ask, but you still have to make sure your school is successful without being an easy school. Basically, it's like owning a business you can't sell or profit from and being a worker, and at worst, you can lose your business at a moment's notice or just decide to leave after all of your hard work. And usually no one will miss the former principal unless there is a huge drop in quality with their replacement, and there usually isn't. You make much more than the other workers is a huge plus, but it takes an extraordinary person to be a great principal. Obviously not a principal, but I casually know a few. I dunno if IT counts as prestigious. At best somebody has seen a TV show about it, and when you tell them what you do they make it turn it off and turn it on again, joke. It's a lot of humility, actually taking the time to hear out a user and to learn what they're trying to do. Half the time I find myself admitting I have no idea what's going on and just providing emotional support as they work through using some early 2000s government website over a screen share call. Croupier in the industry for 10 years and it's hard graft. Looks glamorous but working nights, standing all night, full concentration for mental arithmetic, miserable punters as they are losing money, abuse from punters. The list is never ending. Chef, I lasted 35 years before I got out of the kitchen. It was a great experience and I had a lot of fun and enjoyed almost all of it. I loved cooking, the creativity, and passion for good food. But dealing with people, particularly the people who tried to tell me how to do my job, or the ones who wanted free meals and the employees who didn't want to work but still expected to be paid, just took its toll. I just had enough and I didn't want to become an alcoholic or drug addicted, so I had to leave it behind. I have a new career and I enjoy it, and when I leave work, it stays at the office and I go home.